Did you know that the number of activist groups in the UK has surged by over 200% in the last decade? This explosive growth begs the question, how are these dynamic movements reshaping the political landscape, and what lasting impact will they leave on the future of British governance? Join us as we explore how activists are changing UK politics forever. In recent years, the landscape of UK politics has been significantly altered by the rise of activist movements. These groups, driven by passionate individuals advocating for various causes, have surged in number and influence, bringing about notable changes in political discourse and policy making. This phenomenon is not just a fleeting trend. It represents a fundamental shift in how political power is exercised and who holds it. Activist movements in the UK have experienced an explosive growth, with the number of such groups increasing by over 200% in the last decade. From environmental causes championed by Extinction Rebellion to social justice issues highlighted by Black Lives Matter UK, these movements have mobilized thousands of people, capturing public attention and driving political agendas. The rise of digital platforms has further amplified their reach, allowing activists to organize and disseminate information rapidly, often outpacing traditional political entities. This surge in activism is crucial to discuss because it signifies a shift towards a more participatory form of democracy. Activist groups often emerge from grassroots efforts, representing voices that feel marginalized or unheard by the established political system. Their activities challenge the status quo, pushing for urgent action on issues that are frequently sidelined by mainstream politics. By doing so, they inject fresh perspectives into the political arena, demanding accountability and transparency from leaders and institutions. The impact of these movements is evident in several ways. Firstly, they have succeeded in bringing critical issues to the forefront of public debate. Climate change, racial inequality, and social justice are now prominent topics in political discourse, largely due to relentless activism. Secondly, these movements have influenced policy decisions. The UK government's commitment to achieving net zero carbon emissions by 2050, for instance, is a direct response to the pressure exerted by environmental activists. Moreover, activists are reshaping the political process itself. Traditional political parties are increasingly adopting stances and policies that reflect priorities of activist groups, recognizing the growing importance of these issues to the electorate. This trend is fostering a more dynamic and responsive political environment, where public engagement and advocacy can lead to tangible change. However, this rise in activism also presents challenges. The confrontational tactics sometimes employed by activist groups can lead to polarization and backlash, complicating the path to consensus and cooperative action. Balancing passionate advocacy with constructive dialogue remains a critical task for activists and policymakers alike. In conclusion, the rise of activist movements in the UK is a transformative force in contemporary politics. By amplifying marginalized voices and driving urgent issues to the center of political discourse, activists are reshaping the political landscape in profound and lasting ways. This evolving dynamic is essential to understand, as it will continue to influence the direction of UK politics for years to come. The traditional political landscape in the UK, dominated by the Conservative and Labour parties, has long set the agenda on key issues like the economy, healthcare, and education. This top-down approach often leaves citizens feeling disconnected from their political process, prompting a surge in activist movements aiming to address urgent, overlooked issues. Climate activists, such as Extinction Rebellion, argue that the government's actions on environmental issues are inadequate. They stage dramatic protests to demand more aggressive policies on carbon emissions and renewable energy. Social justice activists, led by movements like Black Lives Matter UK, challenge systematic racial inequalities, calling for police reform and greater racial equality. Similarly, advocates for LGBTQ+ rights and gender equality push for comprehensive legal and social reforms. Economic inequality is also a critical concern. Activists are demanding fairer wealth distribution, improved working conditions, and stronger social safety nets, criticizing the traditional system for favoring corporate interests over the needs of the working class. These activists are not merely protesting specific policies, but challenging the very foundations of the UK's political system. They seek a more inclusive, responsive, and equitable process that listens to and acts upon the voices of all citizens, not just the privileged few. This clash between tradition and change is reshaping UK politics. A pivotal moment in UK activism came with the Extinction Rebellion, or XR, protests in April 2019. Over a period of 10 days, XR activists occupied key locations in London, including Waterloo Bridge, Oxford Circus, and the area around Parliament Square. The scale and persistence of these protests brought the city to a standstill and captivated national and international attention. Their demands were clear. The government must declare a climate emergency, commit to reducing carbon emissions to net zero by 2025, and create a citizens' assembly to oversee climate actions. The impact of this campaign was profound. The disruption forced climate change into the spotlight, compelling politicians and the public alike to engage with the issue. Within weeks, the UK Parliament became the first in the world to declare a climate emergency, a direct response to the pressure exerted by XR. This declaration was more than symbolic. It signaled a shift in political priorities, prompting more ambitious climate policies and greater investment in green technologies. Furthermore, the success of XR's campaign galvanized other environmental movements and increased public support for drastic climate action. It also influenced policy discussions at local, national, and international levels, encouraging other governments to recognize and address the climate crisis urgently. In April 2019, XR protests exemplify how sustained, strategic activism can drive significant political and societal change. By forcing an issue into the political agenda and demonstrating widespread public support, activists can achieve remarkable results, reshaping policies and priorities in ways that traditional political processes often fail to do. Activism is profoundly reshaping UK politics, driving significant policy changes and challenging traditional power structures. From climate action successes like halting of Heathrow's expansion to social justice advancements prompted by movements such as Black Lives Matter UK, activists are pushing urgent issues to the forefront. Their efforts demonstrate the power of grassroots mobilization in achieving tangible results and fostering a more inclusive, responsive political system. As these movements continue to gain momentum, they are not only influencing immediate policy decisions, but also redefining the future landscape of British politics. We want to hear from you. How do you think activist movements are shaping the future of UK politics? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments section below. Let's start a conversation about the power of activism and its impact on our society. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content on political change and social movements. Your voice matters. Join the discussion and stay informed about the forces driving political transformation.